dropping off and picking up, because I thought that was key as far as why there were a lot of people saying, let's drop the Jackson remodeling program, because the police chief said we can't use Georgetown Drive. That was specific, I remember that. I also remember there was a remodeling plan, and originally, when you looked at the square footage of Jackson Elementary, a lot of the square footage was devoted to halls, and it's in our paperwork, it was devoted to halls. So when you remodel, and you do a remodeling plan, you take into account, you wanna make bigger classrooms, whatever. So, I know there's a possibility of maybe getting more square footage in classroom space, because the current Jackson supposedly has more halls than some of the other elementary schools do. So,
And I just wanted to add that, in the groups that I've been on, the drop-off pickup was a big concern, but not the only one with Jackson. Never the sole reason.
So I wasn't here either. I was here for half of it, and then I had to leave when you made your vote or your poll on taking the remodel off the table. I mean, it seems to sound like either people weren't here, or there does seem to be more people, unless you're gonna disagree, that would like to review the remodel of Jackson. I know I met with Dave earlier this week, or last week, and just getting more detail, and then presenting it, because the dollar figure, I think, that's what I've been waiting for. And if I were gonna build an addition on my home, I wouldn't hire a contractor and say, build it, and then he come back and say, well, this is what it's gonna be, and it's 10 times what my budget would be, so then we'd have to go back again. And that's why I wish, number one, we could have a dollar amount, and number two, just so we're good at vetting for the community, which I thought was the job of this group, to say what would a remodel be, and to just ask the questions. So I still have a ton of questions left on.
Well, I think as we introduced, I mean, the intent is to bring that option to the board as part of the summary of this process. So the board will have an opportunity to see those and provide the feedback, exactly the feedback we got tonight. Okay? And we can clarify that it's not a unanimous consensus vote. There was not a poll taken. We'll provide some of the pro and con dialogue to them that we had, but really allow them to vet that. You're absolutely right that the cost piece, we're kind of at that point where that's kind of the next critical piece we all need to know in order to kind of make recommendations on next steps, right? And so the reality, though, too, is we found working with a lot of citizens committees, if we fast forward to starting with cost, we often kind of leap over other things we've set our priorities, right? So if we don't have really healthy dialogue about pros and cons about the subjective things, we'll just lock on whatever's cheapest, right? Even if that's not the right solution educationally or from a safety and security standpoint or whatever it is. So we found that it's often healthy to have these dialogues and then bring cost in once we start to lock in on basically where we are today. Yeah.
I was here, and I was part of the majority that said that the plan came out. So what happened was it came out, we didn't need to look at numbers. So when we looked at the plan and we looked at the feasibility, so right now it does have a lot of hallways. It's like a mousetrap. Or a mouse maze. It's crazy. So when we looked at the feasibility of moving things and then adding the new gym, making it, getting to the square footage where it would need to be for the facilities, it got that it was taking up too much of the land. Then our kids would have no green space. Our kids would have no concrete to play dodgeball or to play, so it went beyond just the money. It got to the point where we saw it and we could say, or a lot of us said, I guess, that it just didn't make sense. I mean, it's an option. It definitely is an option, and based on the survey, maybe we have to go back and rethink some things. But when it came out and you looked at the traffic flow and you looked at the size of the building and there's no easy way to remodel it and make it work for our students, it would have to be very segmented, much like it is today. That's why the majority of us at that time had said, you know what, when you look at them apples to apples, it just doesn't make sense. And so that's why, that is what I recall from the meeting, why the tables had said at that time, let's look at the next idea.
For me, the square footage is very, very questionable. And that leaves 212.5
we're gonna start there when we talk Jackson, okay?
I guess that's one of my questions, that's the first item on the agenda, we're talking around it, why aren't we talking about it?
We just want to respect people's questions. If we're ready to start there, we can absolutely do that. Okay, so since the last meeting, we took feedback on a number of items.